it's my privilege to be here with the Brahma Literary Festival, and I'm with three eminent defense personnel with me, and the topic of this discussion is mothers in the battlefield, courage, conflict, and care. So the first questions come like, can in battlefield we can have some kind of compassion or care? So I'll just, I have with me Vijaya, Lakshmi, Poornima, and Sajita. They will introduce themselves in between. So I just wanted to give you a context in the sense that I'm not a writer, but I'm a journalist. I work for International Television Broadcasting Corporation, so I traveled a lot in the region, including Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal. So I have been covering Afghanistan from 2001 onwards. I have seen Taliban's rise and fall. So in that sense, I have seen war from from very close proximity in Afghanistan, or the fall of LTTE, or the demolition of Maoists in Nepal and all. So this is the context. So war is something that we see from close proximity is totally different from the war which we see in the TV or newspapers. So I have with me the people who led the kind of defense from the front line, and we have Vijay Lakshmi, and I said Poornima and Sajita. So I would like to start with this question to Vijay Lakshmi, then Poornima, and to Sajita. You have been in the defense sector. I mean, you were in uniform. So what prompted you to change as a writer, or what is your experience in that? Give me a brief background about yourself and also your writing. How the transformation happened?
So I'll start first. First of all, thank you very much for this session. It is really a privilege to be part of this session. So I started my naval career in 2003 as a education officer in engineering cadre. That point of time, on-board ships was not allowed, women were not allowed, so we were helping tech team on the technical trainings and all those trainings related stuff. I being into the first interaction when I joined Indian Navy was that we have been through the trainings, and the trainings was really the one things that came out of the training was that you always prepare in your mind. So mind is that limit factors, and that you own your battle or everything in your mind. So from where the journey starts, and we have been throughout in naval career, we used to prepared a lot, like the more we sweat during our peace time, the less bleed will happen during war time. So that itself, reflects it make me resilient, and transformation in my in my action that helped me throughout my career within Navy and outside as well. So that kind of, training and learnings that actually motivated me, because in our time, in my time during 2003 to 13, there was no war as such. So Navy was mostly involved, obviously, during peace, doing the preparedness. Along with that, we used to help a lot to the flood relief, civilians, places, and other things. That's where the story starts, that how do you cater for people, first time somebody is facing that, getting into the ship and facing a storm, how do you take care? So that's where you started caring of people. It's not about only you learn that, victory is important, but you always focus on the peace at the end of the day. So that's where I think within Navy that taught you and outside as well, that transform into making this to the world in your own way of story writing. So that's where I think my journey starts.
Okay, what about Poornima? What's your experience? Is there any space for compassion and care in the war front?
Yeah, definitely. Good afternoon, everybody. In fact, it was Book Brahma that gave me an opportunity to write a story and try that my writing skills. And I won the first prize in the 2022 Book Brahma Katha Spardhe. And since then, I have been writing more. My Air Force journey started in in the year 2000. Recently, we celebrated 25 years of our commissioning and all. I joined as an engineer. I worked in the radar systems. Radar is such a technology which was a game changer since the World War II. So during my tenure in the Air Force, which was very short tenure, it was a 6 years tenure, I learned a lot about how technology helped humans to win the war, to take control of the warfare, the consequences. The more and more technologically evolved we are, we can see that as on today, while we are talking, we can see that the more emphasis is given on improving the technology to utilize technology in our favor. Maybe the dead bodies count would have reduced, but the consequences, a whole country becomes crippled, with no communication, with no resources. That kind of warfare has changed the whole game altogether. So as a technical officer in the Air Force, what I learned is the capability is not in terms of number of soldiers that we have. It is more of how technologically advanced we are and how Atmanirbhar we are. I mean, how much dependency we have on other countries, on the weapons and on the other facilities to win a war, or to at least deter or to avoid a war leading into a grave consequences. No war has ever been a total victory to either side. Whether we win or lose, both the countries are at the end of the day are losers. In fact, they say nobody loves a soldier till the time enemy is at the gate. And as we could see, many people walked out of the auditorium as the soldiers came in and sat here to discuss. So that is again another responsibility as writers, because the stories, as you rightly pointed out, that happen on the war field are not narrated in the right spirit, in the true spirit to the common man. So as journalists and as writers, we sitting here, we could contribute here in a big way to narrate the actual stories that happen. Maybe that will in future in some way impact the decision making and lead to more peacekeeping.
I'll come to your stories later, but before that, Sajita, can you tell your story and how you become a writer?
Good afternoon to all of you. So I'm Captain Sajita Nair, and I was commissioned in the Indian Army in 1994. I was commissioned in the Army Ordnance Corps, and I was a part of the Kargil War in '99.
Okay.
But I wasn't there in the war front because I served in the Ordnance, and but I was along the western borders in Rajasthan, the Munabao area, where I was in an exercise location. So I have seen that part of the army as well. And after my tenure in the army, I began writing because I always loved writing. So even when I served in the army and I was posted at remote locations, I wrote many letters to friends, and they would get back and say that they enjoyed reading what I wrote. And after that, I started blogging and I started writing articles for magazines, and I knew that there were stories within the armed forces, within the army, that only I could say. There was, and I really love that quote by Toni Morrison, who says that if there's a story that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. So that's what motivated me to write about my experiences in the army. So while I was blogging and I was writing articles for various publications, I participated in the Kala Ghoda Arts Festival in Mumbai. They had this open book pitch contest where you could pitch a book idea. And I pitched my book idea, and Hachette India picked up the book, and it is called She's a Jolly Good Fellow. Here is the book.
Okay, that's
yes.
good. Yeah.
That's how the first book came into being, and then after that, I've written many books. I've written 4 novels now, and I've got many more books in the pipeline.
Okay, thank you so much. It's indeed a privilege to sit with these 3 women writers. So, yes, our topic of discussion is like mothers in the battlefield, courage, conflict, and care. So, I would like to come to Vijaya Lakshmi about the idea of care and compassion in the battlefield. Can there's a convergence there, the care and compassion can go with the fight war and
So, because always, I have a view always that, whenever you go for a battle or for a war, you always have a focus.
yeah.
You always look for what's the end goal and what would be your focus. War intended, victory is not the win, but ultimately the focus of, can you sustain that victory in terms of making that peace sustainable during that, after your victory. So that's where I think that compassion will come and care will come. If I was just going through the data, that how things has evolved in from the year 1992 to 2009, it shows that only women's involvement during those negotiations and peace processes as a mediators are around 13% of the negotiation. And what they say is that out of that, women participation in the peace processes, wherever they have involved, the probability is more than 35% when the peace has been increased up to 15 years. So that's the probability which data says that it's have the power. So, and nowadays, because I am also in corporate now, we always say that inclusion and diversity has a longevity in the terms of anything you pick up. So I think that involving women is the requirement, and every country is progressing towards that. So I think this is where we need to and we must need to focus. That's what I would say.
Yeah, you put it in with data. So what about Poornima? What do you say about that?
Yeah, mothers play a very big role in peacekeeping, I would say. When we say mother, the first thing that comes to our mind is stability and security.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we are with our mother, we feel, okay, now we are safe. So when it comes to motherland, it is the same feeling. When we travel abroad for a couple of weeks and all, when we come back to our motherland, we feel so at home. We feel that safety and security. And it's also the mother who tells us what is a resource. From childhood, we see that mothers would usually keep the gold secure, or money secure, or the food secure. So we know what is a resource and what is worth fighting for. Even among siblings, when there is only one biscuit, you have to share it. Yeah. So we know what is resource and how to share. And mothers tell us, teach us the empathy. The youngest one who is, less strong compared to the elders, she teaches us, be empathetic towards him and share and care for them. She teaches us how to resolve conflict. Like in that movie, The Pianist, there is a scene where everybody is waiting near the railway platform, all the people, and there is one boy who is selling chocolates.
Yes.
There's one family that has got just $1 or something. They pay that money and buy one chocolate, and all the 6 members distribute that one small piece. The father, the old man, asked that boy who is selling, "What will you do with this money?" When the war breaks out, what will you do with the money? What we need is, weapons to save ourselves, food to eat and stay strong, and shelter to take care of ourselves. So the resource, the definition of resource keeps changing. And they say there are so many countries that is going for war, but not one country worth dying for.
Yeah.
Many of us, as on today, if you look at the current scenario, the political scenario, why we are fighting, it is different. Every country has different reason to fight for. Some, like India and Pakistan, we are fighting for the territory issues. Some are fighting for the resources sharing. Some are fighting for the routes, the sea routes where the trades happen. Some fight for the trade dominance. We want to have dominance in this particular field. And some countries, they want their religion to be adopted by the whole world. There are so many reasons. So what is my reason to fight? That is entirely depending on the way I have been brought up, my motherland, what is valued in my motherland. These are very important things for us, which are brought up, which are inculcated in our upbringing, in our when I joined the military, Air Force, there was a small story that was told to us. It was not a story, actual thing in the training field. There was one patch of road, maybe some 50 feet road, where we were not allowed to walk on that. We had to always take the side parts of that road. That particular patch was not, nobody can step on that until you shed your blood on that road.
Okay.
The reason was, in the initial days, every officer who has joined Air Force, every person who has joined Air Force, he was given an experience of flying in the military aircraft. So an unfortunate incident happened, and all of them, all the soldiers, they were aboard that flight, they lost their lives. And their charred bodies were laid down on that particular road. So when I heard that story, I was shaken up. I am standing on a place where actually I could see it to myself. The kind of narrative, the kind of emotions that stir in us, they are like, I can't explain it as on today. So a soldier goes through such an emotional turmoil. Today he is the boss, tomorrow he is not there. Today I am an engineer, tomorrow I could be cook. I could be, loading some things on the truck. There are so many roles that we have to take, and at every step we are taking decision. We are following the orders. We are, making way for the future. So many things are going on in our mind. That all of that depends on our personality, which is developed by our mothers. And I think as women have better, conflict resolution compared to, though if we look at, our mythology, we see that, the very reason Ramayana happened was this Kaikeyi wanted her son to be the king. And even in Mahabharata, Draupadi, she was, her ego was hurt by a comment or things like that. Also, when we look at history, most of the European countries where women ruled, they went into a war that left the whole world devastated, and even today we are facing the consequences. So I won't say just by making women as rulers it would solve the problem. In fact, they say if the world was ruled by women, there would be no wars, definitely, but there would be a bunch of neighboring countries who wouldn't talk to each other. So we don't want that as a solution, but definitely women would have more empathy and more skills for conflict resolution, and the peacekeeping or the agreements that take place would last long.
Sajita, you agree with that? I mean, women can be better kind of negotiator, bring peace to the world.
Yes, I do think that. I agree with both Vijay, Lakshmi and Poornima on that, because women are primarily nurturers, and we have seen this in all these centuries. So it naturally comes to them to maintain peace. They also have better emotional intelligence, I feel.
Right.
And so since Vijaya and Poornima have spoken about the qualities, I'd like to narrate or just a small anecdote as to how you can, as women officers in the military, because you require a combination of both aggression and compassion, both, right? And that's a difficult combination. So I'll just tell you an anecdote. Like when in '95, I was a company commander in a military unit. Now, company commander is a person or is an officer who ensures discipline and welfare of the troops, and also training. So as a company commander, you have to be extremely strict about the training part, because as Vijaya said, the more you train in peace, the less you bleed in war. So training is such a very important thing. So when it came to BPET, that is a battle physical endurance test, or when it came to rope climbing, when it came to run and firing at the firing range, I was very, very strict. I was extremely strict, because there could be no excuses. The things had to be done because our people, our troops had to be ready for any eventuality that came, and anything could happen anytime. So that was one aspect I looked into, and I was very, very strict about that. But on the other hand, after the training was done, that's where the compassion factor comes in. I would speak to them. I would ask them, so how did it go? Are you all feeling okay? How's the morale? So, so then they would open up to me, and if they probably said they wanted to go on leave or something, I would say, okay, fine, you carry on leave. Or is there any other problem? Okay, some pains have started coming here and there in the body. I would say, okay, fine, you can take some time off, or maybe I would talk to the doctor. That is where the compassion factor comes in. So I think ultimately what we want for an organization, especially in the armed forces, is strength in diversity.
Strength in diversity.
Strength in diversity, because when women join the organization, they're not here to replace men. They are here to bring their own set of strengths. That I strongly believe.
Absolutely.
So they are just adding to the strength of the organization.
Yeah, you put it really nicely. So diversity, you add strength to the forces. See, our discussion have a context. So just wanted to put that context in place. Like we are in the middle of two big wars. We started the discussion at 1 o'clock and we'll be finishing in 2. In 1 hour, on an average, 10 people are being killed in different parts of the world. So there is a context for the discussion. So I would like to know from Vijaya Lakshmi. So in our previous discussion, you said that sometime we have to have war and there is no option. But again, as women who is comparing to men who care more to the society and the people around them. How do you see this conflict?
So, I mean, if this is very personal opinion. So, when I'm looking at that, some point of time, when you're really trying hard, and it's going on and on, and there's no resolution, you really need to take one step ahead and break that. But ultimately, the bigger roles that what we are looking that, peace. If that war is giving you that instantly, that will help. But if not, then you have to really more strategically looking into that what makes sense. Because I think, probably if you are longing things, there are many other things also get affected. So it's always a call that, are you looking for, whether is it a time constraint that you wanted to achieve that, but obviously your longer term, your short term may go, short term goal can go here and there, and you are trying to achieve, if it's war, get you through that. And that will help you in a longer journey that, that is what I want to do. And if this is a stepping stone into that longer terms, I would say that's a good decisions.
Okay.
And again, it's a very strategic decisions that, because everything will have a pros and cons. So you have to strategically decide that what is you are losing and at what cost.
Okay.
But, that's how I say that, wars are good if it's getting you where you want as a country, as a different level. So that would.
Okay, what about Poornima? I mean, just like you were telling something from your own experience, like what you experienced. In the war front or any other situation, for example, in Afghanistan, we have been traveling a lot of places. So even in the worst of the situation, we can see people's life. In Kabul, you can see huge marriages happening, children playing football, children flying kites. So even in the front runs of the war situations, we will see human life. I think you must have seen a lot of human life. Did that help you to write such touching stories?
No, on the contrary, I never been to a war field. Okay. I was an officer in the Air Force, and I was working in the technical department where I was taking care of the radar system operations and maintenance. Basically, this system would give the air traffic control, the fighter pilots or even the transport pilots. For them, the position and navigation, these were the main things, and also identifying if any enemy intruders have come into our airspace or not. These were the main things. But what I have seen during the exercises that we did, there is a tremendous pressure on the decision making. Because the people, even they are flying, they have to have some commands given by the decision makers, whether to go ahead, bomb some areas or not. At the end of the day, they are human beings. They have a reason to go back home because their family is waiting. At the same time, the moment they drop the bomb, they know many children and families are abandoned now or like wiped out of the face of the earth. So that's a very emotionally and it's a draining decision making at that moment. But looking at the war scenarios these days, as I said earlier, it's not more of, killing one-to-one. It's more of, killing completely crippling their economy, crippling their communication systems, cyber warfare, also, getting the bigger contracts or, getting to know,
the modus operandi has changed now.
Yeah,
right,
what is happening in their country, what is being discussed, who is the company that is manufacturing certain weapons, how to, get the technology. These are the kind of things. There is some drone which is like after dropping a bomb, it goes into self-destruction mode.
Right,
Because the makers, they don't want that remains or even the debris to be captured by enemy. And we know there are many countries who are very good in reverse engineering.
Yes.
They will take the technology. And there are many countries, like for example even America, they have such exclusive technology which they don't want to share. Even at any cost, they don't want to sell it. Because dominance in technology in terms of weapons as on today is a very, very big strength to any country. Every country is thriving to achieve that superiority, in terms of weapons and in terms of, deploying their resources and accessing the geographical terrains at their will and wish. That is a very big, important thing as of now. So these warfares are more damaging on economically than the emotional and other issues.
Yeah.
Also the narratives, because in our earlier, whether it is mythology or in historical wars, when we see the main reasons for going into war was like, this particular country attacked me, my country, and my father was killed, my mother was killed, so I want to take revenge. But in today's era, we cannot go on war with some country based on such reasons.
Yeah.
It is more of whether I want to go for a war or not. Many a times we are not given a choice. It is to protect ourselves for self-defense or to deter the enemy from attacking us. We have to go for the war. So I would say most of the times we don't have an option, but definitely it is necessity to be prepared for a war that can break out for silly reasons, at any time. And as you know, the biggest strength in warfare is the surprise element. When you attack an enemy without any previous knowledge or anything, that gives us the upper hand. So many are working on this. So spying and all this, technologically using technology to gain dominance over other countries is important.
You put it nicely. So what about Sajita? Do you agree with the fact that we have gone much beyond human to human kind of warfare, and now it's all changed? And
Yes, certainly it has changed now. It is not like how it used to be earlier, where there was hand-to-hand warfare. And in the army, we call it that the infantry wing. So now, like Poornima put it very rightly, it's more of technological warfare and crippling the economy and such things. So this is the place that we have come to today.
yeah, I mean, the question was that this warfare has changed. So your experience also have changed. So your stories telling
Yes.
things are also have changed.
Right.
That's what I want
So
to ask
yes,
you.
you were asking earlier about how the experiences with warfare has also changed your writing, right?
Right, yes.
So I was just thinking about that at that time when they were speaking. I was thinking about, I have actually experienced during the Kargil times, I have actually experienced loss and grief.
Okay.
And I've also experienced the other extreme of happiness. And it is so as a writer now, when I look at all the experiences that I've had, I realize that we understand as writers that how fleeting human life really is. And so
Absolutely, yeah.
with the depth of emotions, the extremities of emotions that we have seen in such places as in wars. So
Yeah,
it affects you so deeply, and you get it to your writing, and you're able to make your writing much richer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the war cannot be an answer for many of a situation, in the sense that war is not, that's what my personal feeling is, that war is not an answer for anything, and we cannot solve problems with the war alone. It could be one factors. But as the defense personnel who are changed to writers, one of the responsibilities which I think you have is to remind people that this is war. Like, for example, we are kind of remembering the 80th anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki now. And unlike in the past, if you go back to 10, 15 years, we never had the kind of, courage to say that I will use nuclear bomb. Now the concept of nuclear bomb is coming again and again, and some people are saying that we will use it. So as a writer, don't you think that it is your responsibility to remind people that, see, it's not so good, I mean, going for a war. So how do you see that kind of situation as again, coming back to the topic, like the caregiving mother or a compassionate woman? How do you see that? Maybe you can start and we can go back to the other way. How do you see that?
So as a writer, because now I've been writing longer than that I served in the army.
Okay. Yeah.
So as a writer, I feel that, as you rightly said, that we need to have more stories out there. We need to have more stories of not just about people in uniform, because they are there at the war front and they are fighting the war. We also need to have stories about those who are forming a support system for the people who are there at the front. And that is such an important thing, because that is where the emotions, because when someone's son is there at the war front and the mother is there behind, who will write about the mother? It's our duty as writers to talk about the emotions of the mother or of the wife who has lost someone there in the battlefield. So I think on my part, I try and write stories that look at more of not the tactical aspects of war. I look more at the emotional aspects of war, and all my stories, the books that I've written, focus more on the emotions of the whole community, the whole defense community, because whether we like it or not, we need to have the armed forces in a country, and it is very, very important. Although I'd like to say that the pen is mightier than the sword, and I would like to say that I've picked up a mightier weapon, which is the pen. But having said that, I would also partly agree with Vijaya Lakshmi, who says that in some situations, it becomes important to perhaps pick up a weapon other than the pen. But of course, now that I'm wielding the pen, I'm doing my best to...
About Poornima?
It's a very important question because we all have seen, and it is proved that literature is really an important and a strong weapon than anything else. Because as we look back towards our history, it is because of the literature that we know what happened in the past, previously. And many of the movies that have captured that are based on real life incidents, they actually open up our minds. I mean, we would have never thought, having lived most of my life in South India, I have never seen a war. Even though I was a Fauji, I have never seen actual war. So for me to understand what it is, what goes there, is very difficult. I mean, recently we have seen, after the Operation Sindoor, many people kept posting on their, social media and all. We should have gone ahead with war, and we should have wiped out Pakistan. We should have done this, that. We are spineless. Why? How long are we going to look at this? All kind of mixed responses we were seeing. Most of the times, they have no idea what a war is. What are the consequences? How many people will be, homeless? How many children will be orphaned? Nobody knows that. They have no idea. But, to post that, yes, India won. It is not like some IPL match or some, test tournament that I go out and enjoy about it. So that kind of awareness can be spread by writers, by staying connected with the authentic information, what actually goes through the minds of people who are fighting during and after the war. It is very, very important. It's a big responsibility to portray the actual things that is happening. For example, in this movie, Enemy at the Gate, it's a very interesting movie. There is a war going on between two countries. At some point, the country which has been invaded, they feel like they are going to lose it. People are already very upset and they are like very pessimistic. Their morale is low. So then one newspaper guy, he thinks of, let's write something, let's give some hope to the people. So instead of going for, between two countries, they decide to go for, there are two snipers on either side of the battleground. They decide to go whoever gets the maximum people killed, that country would be the winner. So every day they start covering these two snipers' stories. So suddenly the whole country is, getting joy and they are celebrating, okay, we are, today we have the upper hand, like that. And there is another story, movie, very interesting movie, like, I shouldn't say interesting movie because that's the movie I actually wept after watching, the boy in the striped pajamas. It was about a small boy. It happens between a Nazi officer. He is deployed in a place where he is responsible to ensure that the Israelis are, Nazi camps and all, the killing and all. The boy befriends another boy who is the prisoner, who is captured. So they don't know what is happening. So this boy on the other side of the fence thinks that there is a game going on the other side, and he saw somehow the officer's boy, he sneaks into the other side, and he's no more. The officer and his family, they go frantically searching for him, but they can never find him. I mean, look at it from the point of children's perspective, what they are going through. They have no idea what is a war, what is my country, where is the border, what is resource, why are we fighting. They have no idea. We are making them pay the price, those young lives. So such stories told with more authentic information, and maybe we can take the liberty of a writer and make it more emotional and make it more connecting to the people. It can definitely make an impact. And at the same time, I would also say we should write responsibly.
But could be Vijaya Lakshmi may be able to tell a little more about that. I mean, basically our memories are fading out. So sometime as writers, it's their responsibility to kind of rekindle the memories in the right perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, so I completely agree with both of them that, that as a responsible writer, but at the same time, I just wanted to, go a little offbeat that the era we are living at this present, social media is, I think that, the kind of literature and people were there earlier also, but the kind, the way it has exploded now, and, any wrong messages also will explode like that. So it's one is that obviously on the literature side that where the writers has a responsibility of, be responsible and be very, results that how this kind of, whatever you're writing. At the same time, people, I want, people to be very mindful. It's not about, because anything can explode anyway nowadays, the era we are in. So I think, writers, as they are responsibly writing, I think the exploration of the way progressing, that also, so each of us has a responsibility of that what is wrong should be, always get a boundary that it should not get ahead. So, always good and bad things would be there. People are more responsible that, you need to be. But responsibility, as we always say, that lies with everyone, especially in the era which we are living at present, that I really need that, along with the writers, I think the readers needs to be more responsible.
More responsible, absolutely.
That, how things should be progressed.
Right. Right. And a very personal question to, I'll start with Sajita. Like, you're a mother and a caregiver. So, I mean, how do you, again, coming back to the first question, to converge this compassion and care in a battlefield, briefly, because we don't have much time?
I became a mother after I had left the army, so I don't have an experience of being in uniform and being a mother, but I've seen so many other women officers balance it out in the best possible way, because these earlier it was very difficult. The organizational support was also limited, but these days there's a lot of support system from within the family, and also there's a lot of organizational support. And so I think that women are within the defense forces, women are able to do extremely well. We have commanding officers, we have officers flying fighter planes, and yet they are mothers as well. We just saw Colonel Sofia Qureshi,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? She is a mother as well,
Yeah.
right? And she's able to do, she's able to manage a military career, and plus she's a mother. So I think that women in the armed forces are doing a brilliant job. They're getting in the slight, the strength of being a woman, and also being able to perform as required by the military.
And your personal experience, Poornima?
Same, I also was not a mother when I was serving in the Air Force. But I would say, as on today, there are many women officers who are mothers.
Is it a difficult choice for women than a man to fight or to operate in a combat situation?
Definitely.
Why?
Especially if you are a mother, you have a reason to go back home, and it's a compulsion, it's not a choice. So every day it's, it's important, and we get back home to our family. That stress would always be there. Even the transfers in the military, we all three, it's very difficult to manage families, especially as the children grow, their schools and education, everything gets disturbed. So
And,
I would say it is difficult.
And Vijaya, about?
So I would say, that whatever is always a choice.
Yeah.
There is nothing beyond choice. So at the moment you know that, you are doing something, whether you are in defense or, I was mother, mother of two during my defense career. So it's always a choice, but mind it, that we always know that we joined armed forces, we have the priorities. As long as I think that is clear on your mind, I think you are good. And there are enough support system within the system, being in defense, that things would be taken care. It may happen that you may be looking for your husband around, that could not happen, but rest, they ensure that all other supports are there, always. So I always feel that, battlefield is not always on the map.
Right, yeah.
It's in the mind, it's in the boardroom, it's everywhere. So it's all of us, how do we take it and take a choice of taking our own story and taking it in the right way. We all have our stories.
Okay, I just wanted to conclude with one small question to each one, because many of the people sitting around may be having inclination to write, they may be wanted to write. So just one question, briefly, how a person from a totally different background like defense or police or some other thing can become a writer? Is there any tips which you can give them?
As I said, that it's always about, because you go through very different conflict of emotions, you go through various pressures under things, so that makes you more, as a woman, it's always easy for a human connect. But I think each of us, because the kind of emotional instability you go through, that makes everyone, you go to everyone, there is a story. And we always say that the moment, somebody is from defense, we always connect, because the kind of bond we always forged under pressure, that always remains with each of us.
And Poornima, you can also add to that.
Yeah, defense has taught me discipline and to be organized, and to, very, very importantly, to observe things around us, to be aware of the situation. So these things definitely help if somebody wants to pursue writing as a profession.
They can do it. Yeah. And you can also say the same thing, or you have to add something more. We are completely out of time. You can just complete it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just believe that some of the best stories come from the armed forces. That's because we see the extremities of emotions. And so yes, if anyone wants to become a writer, you just dig within yourself, and you write.
Okay, thank you very much. This was a great learning for me also as a journalist. Thank you, Vijaya, Sajita, and Poornima. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to all the speakers. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.